Hello and you're welcome to the Big Tech Show with me, Adrian Weckler. Now, more than half of Irish 8-year-olds from disadvantaged areas now own a smartphone, twice the rate of 8-year-olds from wealthier backgrounds, according to new research. We're going to look at why that is. And also, what are the boundaries for your boss to phone or text you? And what is an appropriate cutoff time that you can ask to be respected in that context? Hello and you're welcome to the Big Tech Show with me, Adrian Weckler. Now, as the US continues to boil in civil strife, technology is playing a central part in what's going on, from Reddit and Discord to thermal label printers, QR codes, and a bunch of other things in between. David Gilbert from Wired Magazine has been looking at all this and joins me now. Dave, talk to me about schools and guns. Wasn't that something that got your goat?
I think for any Irish person living in the States, the first time you get an email from the school saying your child has just done an active shooter drill, your heart kind of drops. It's a very bizarre thing, and you start reading up about what goes on when those drills happen. And the kids are told a kind of softened version of the truth of what they're practicing for, but they kind of know what it is, and they're aware of the culture. Both my kids went to schools, and lovely schools, like handful of schools. They were super high quality. But they did have to do active shooter drills, and it makes you think about, my daughter's class had a door directly out to the playground, but that playground had a gate directly out to a car park behind a shopping mall. And if you need to access a building quietly, discreetly, and quickly, that was the way in. So they were first in line. And I have to say that was just terrifying. The concept that the kids were training for that eventuality, which, wealth does not insulate you from in the States. The places that were being attacked, they range from, public schools in very rough areas to the most well-to-do suburbs where someone has had a mental health issue, they have access to a gun, they decide the school is the root cause, and they go and shoot it up. And, Sandy Hook was only about a 45-minute drive from where we lived in a very similar suburb. So that just sits with you.
And how did those active shooter drills sit with the kids? How did they react to them? Was this just like a normal day in school for them?
It was. They would train for what they call an emergency, and they would be told, in the class. I think we all know what the drills sound like. They have to be quiet. They have to huddle in a corner. A lot of school classrooms have tape marked out on the floor from the doors and windows just to show where the line of sight is if someone's looking in. So the kids are trying to huddle behind the tape. And in some places, they're given a lollipop to keep them quiet or a sharpened pencil, and they're told kind of, the key thing is keep quiet, hide, and then it maybe run. And the last resort is to fight. And the reality is none of that's going to have any effect on someone with an AR-15 or an assault rifle.
After.
Good morning. Coming up, finding solace in the outdoors. The AI race. Who will reign supreme? Mission drift, when the best laid plans go adrift. And the secret life of caddies. You can contact us by text at 51551, email thebusiness@rte.ie, or WhatsApp 087 032 3232. It's Adrian Weckler here, standing in for Richard. Let's go first to the world of AI, a world that has authors, academics, and many others up in arms. This week, Time magazine featured one of the architects of AI, Demis Hassabis, on the cover of its World's Most Influential People edition. His story is an extraordinary one, as is the story of his main rival, Sam Altman, founder of OpenAI. Both of their journeys feature in a book written by our first guest, Parmi Olsen, author of Supremacy, AI, ChatGPT, and the Race That Will Change the World, which recently won the FT's Business Book of the Year. Parmi, we've a lot to get through here. AI is a very contentious area, and I know that you have concerns about so much power now being in the hands of just a few very wealthy people. But can I start by asking you about the two central characters you identify in the book, Demis Hassabis and Sam Altman?
Yeah, so they're both very similar and very different in some ways, but Demis, I think, doesn't.
Welcome back. Adrian Weckler here, sitting in for Richard. Now, a reminder that you can contact us by text to 51551, email thebusiness@rte.ie, or WhatsApp 087 032 3232. Now to a businessman who credits the great outdoors with saving his life. Dane Galligan is a familiar face to many from his time as a mentor on the RTE TV series Davy's Toughest Challenge, where he helped coach young people to go above and beyond. He spent years working in the hospitality trade before struggles with his mental health began to take their toll, but an opportunity in the wilds of Connemara led him to a career in the great outdoors and set him on a path to conquer the mountains of his mind. We met up with Dane Galligan, now owner of Go Beyond Events, in Dublin's own great outdoors, the Phoenix Park, earlier this week, just as the rain started to fall. Hi Dane, how's it going?
Adrian, nice to meet you. How are you?
I'm not too bad. We're out here in the Phoenix Park in the wilds of Dublin, a little bit different from rock climbing in Spain or trekking in Iceland, the kind of stuff you normally do, but we're going to talk a little bit about how you've evolved into that life, wilderness and outdoors and training. But first, let me bring you back to your childhood in Greystones. What was that like as a life?
Yeah, it was, I mean, from what I remember, it was shortly after that hit probably my lowest point ever, you know.
What happened during that low point? Because this was after your course was finished. Your mother had passed away and you hit what you described as rock bottom.
Yeah, I definitely, it was definitely a rock bottom. I had found myself in trouble. I'd really kind of started making kind of peace with suicide and suicidal thoughts. But it was something that really scared me, and thankfully it did, because I'd made the decision then I knew I needed help, otherwise it made all the difference, you know.
After you did get help and began to feel better, you began to think about setting up your own outdoor adventure and corporate events firm. How did that happen, and how long did it take to get off the ground?
That's been a long old struggle, and it's great for a relationship, you know.
When they're doing their bushcraft challenges and other events, do office dynamics ever show up? I mean, do you find rivalries or grudges, people leaving the CEO stuck halfway up a rock climbing wall?
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely a lot of don't give up.
Dane Galligan, founder of Go Beyond Events and Go Beyond Adventures, thank you very much for joining us to talk today.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks very much for having me on.
And if you've been impacted by Dane's story, you can call the Samaritans on 116 123 or go to RTE helplines for more information. And now to another man who knows all about resilience. Rory McIlroy landed in Belfast Airport yesterday after achieving a lifelong dream of winning the US Masters. In an interview after the event, Rory acknowledged that the win belonged as much to his caddy as to him. So what's life like for golf's wingmen? Well, joining me now is professional caddy Colin Byrne, who has worked with some of the biggest names in the sport like Ernie Els and Retief Goosen, and who is currently carrying the bag for Louis Westhuizen. He joins me on the line. Colin, you're
for his great assistance, you know, and you can see that he exudes calm.
He does indeed.
As a caddy.
Colin Byrne, it's been lovely talking to you. Thank you very much for joining
Adrian.
us on the programme. Finally this morning to the news that LinkedIn is getting a firm thumbs up from the market because profits at its Irish base grew to almost $430 million this year, an increase of 68%. And it's a site that you increasingly either love or loathe. There aren't any irritating dance trends or scenes of people brawling, but it can be a bit full of cringy corporate types keen on self-promotion. So let's take a moment to collaborate, connect with and endorse some of its valuable insights and achievements with 2FM's Afric O'Connell, who joins me now in studio. Afric, LinkedIn, a corporate networking site, was always seen as the serious, more sober counterpart of Facebook or X or Instagram.
Yes.
But has it gotten a bit cringy?
It's gotten very cringy, Adrian. It really has. Particularly, I think, in the last couple of years, maybe since COVID, because when people from their first Tooth Fairy experience, daughter apparently said, never accept their first offer.
2FM's Afric O'Connell, thanks very much for joining us on that. And that's all we have for today. Thank you for listening. Today's show was produced by Aideen McLaughlin and Emma Laffin. Our broadcast coordinator was Owen Lubers and Mark McGrath was on sound. We'll leave you now with the LinkedIn song by Rick Lozano. Until next week, have a wonderful Easter. Bye-bye.